Hi, friends. This is Wendy Harrop, and welcome to the Say Yes to Yourself podcast. On the Say Yes to Yourself podcast, you'll hear stories from women just like us who are adding the practice of saying yes in their daily lives in big and small ways, and as a result, are experiencing the truth that everybody wins when you say yes to yourself. Saying yes to yourself is a graceful unfolding, an intentional becoming of the very best version of you. It is my hope that in these conversations, we are able to find our truth and be inspired and empowered to live our very best lives. I'm so excited to go on this journey with you, and I look forward to finding a bit of our own story in each other's. Happy New Year, favorite. Oh my goodness. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome 2025. Oh my goodness. I have already decided it's going to be amazing. I hope you've already decided that too. There is so much power in this present moment. There's so much power in setting intentions. There's so much power in being the deliberate creator of your experience. And I can attest to such power as I am recording this intro from my beautiful hotel room at the Waldorf Astoria Trianon Palace in Versailles, France. I am about to welcome my guests that are joining me on this beautiful trip. I am recording this a few days before you listen because I will be taking care of them when this episode is live. But I am so absolutely in my bliss. I am so utterly satisfied. And I have only just got here. I had a beautiful flight. I'm going to tell you all my secrets actually right now. Okay, so I use buybusinessclass.com. We will link all of these fabulous things in the show notes. They got me an amazing deal. So I flew Mint on JetBlue into Paris with my lie flat seat, and it was delicious. I get off the plane and I use this amazing meet and greet service from AA Elite Airport. They operate out of Paris Charles de Gaulle and out of Orly. You guys, this service is so dreamy. I've been using them for years, and I am just not even available to fly into a Paris airport without them. So you get off the plane, they are waiting for you. They take whatever carry-on baggage you have and say, "Follow me, please." And you do. And there are lines and lines of people in immigration passport control. They cut in front of everyone in line and process your passport, all smiles, all joy, stamp, stamp, so good, favorite sound, and then whisk you down to baggage claim and get your bag for you, and then take you into the beautiful car service that is waiting for you, all before you ever even see anybody else from your plane. It's so amazing. It reminds you that you're a queen or a king if you are my brother or my friends Oswald or Dave that are listening to this podcast. It's just so good. And then this beautiful car service takes you to the airport, to the hotel, and it's just beautiful. And then you check into your beautiful hotel and it's just dreamy. So because I am staying here so many nights, 8 of them, how fabulous is that? I did not only pack in a carry-on like I usually do. I brought a big, huge bag, and I brought all the clothes I wanted to wear and all the shoes I want to wear. And it's just expansive and fabulous. And I walked around the gardens of Versailles yesterday because this hotel is right on the border of the Chateau de Versailles. And I walked around the gardens and took in all of these beautiful sights. The Christmas decorations are everywhere and so beautifully done. Light installations going across the streets. It's just unbelievable. If you follow me on Instagram, please look at all of those posts because it's so lovely. And then I had champagne and frites for dinner. And had a beautiful sleep in my gorgeous hotel room and thought, oh my word, I could go home right now and feel so delighted by how I spent this day. And I did not think that any of this was available to me until I found out that it was. And I want to also say, if all of those things make your heart swell and you want to join me on one of these amazing dreamy trips in 2025, I want that for you also. And you can do it. And I want to support you in getting to that yes. So our next opportunity is in September. You have plenty of time. And I would love for you just to decide that this is the year that you're doing this. And whatever it is that you're deciding that this is the year, I want to support you in that as well. So we are having a 3-day Word of the Year workshop that is going to kick off on Tuesday, January 7th, and it will be Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. It's going to be at 3 p.m. Eastern, so noon on the West Coast and 7 a.m. for my sisters in the Southern Hemisphere. I try to think about you as often as I can, so I would love to see you. That is also linked down in the show notes. That 3-day workshop is completely free, but you just need to register so that I can send you the Zoom link. And I'm so excited to hear what your word of the year is, what your intentions for 2025 are, and how you plan to make this the best year yet. And who knows? Maybe you're going to write a book like today's guest, Beth Dodd. In addition to being an author, mindset mentor, and mental health professional, Beth is just a girl from Jersey, a Scorpio at that. This means, among other things, she's passionate about what she believes in. The family is everything. She credits her dad for her humor and positivity, and her mother for her toughness on the exterior and softness on the inside. All of this Beth brings into her work mentoring people through life's biggest challenges. As she shares in her book, Laughter is an Instant Vacation, no matter how bad a situation is, there is always light at the end of the tunnel. And I promise you, it is not an oncoming train. Beth wrote Laughter is an Instant Vacation to share her life experiences and the coping skills she has learned along the way. There's no such thing as a lifetime without clouds, but Beth is here to reassure you that with the right tools, a different mindset, and a little bit of laughter, the sun will come out again. I hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I did. I welcome you and introduce you to Beth Dodd. Beth, I am so excited to have this conversation. Thank you so much for being here.
Wendy, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here with you and have this chat.
I have just started on your really fun book, Laughter is an Instant Vacation. And I already have so many questions for you and so many just things that I want to talk about that you've listed in the book, but I would love to start with the question that I ask all my guests, and that is, how are you saying yes to yourself in this season?
That's a great question. You know what? I'm saying yes to myself by exactly what I put in the book, by accepting laughter in my life, right? Because Wendy, I look around the world today and I approach things with laughter, and there's some things that you can approach with laughter, but I find that with everything going on around us, the chaos, the craziness, the arguing, the social media, that people have put laughter aside. And if they knew actually what it does for you, if you view your situation on more of a positive laughter joy side, that those things just really seem to go through you better. You seem to accept them better. You seem to be able to deal with things better. So that's what I'm accepting in this season is laughter.
I love that. And it's so true because joy is just my required and preferred state of being. And to accomplish that goal, which is really important to me and really important to my role as a mom and as a podcast host and all bed and breakfast, flower farmer, all the things that I do and am, I've really made a decision to unplug from the news, from current events. My current events are it's dahlia season, and my fields are a just gorgeous, beautiful display of glory. It's fall in New England, and the leaves are changing colors, and the weather is glorious. And those are my current events. And I know that there can be the opinion of some that would say that I am being irresponsible because I'm not informed of all the chaos and awful things that are going on, as if me swimming in that muddy water is somehow going to make it less muddy. I don't understand it, and I'm really not available for anyone else's opinion about how I spend my day and what I fill my mind and life with. And because you are in this season of sharing your thoughts about laughter, how are you finding this premise and this suggestion, which at times seems ludicrous based on what's going on in the world, which honestly could be said, that comment could be uttered anytime in the last 3,000 years and it would
Correct.
feel appropriate. So what is
Correct.
happening?
So, it's funny that you say that because you're right. There's always something going on that somebody is going to attach themselves to and make personal, right? So there's always, if you go down through history, there's always crap going on. There's always, whether it's, business stuff, political, whatever's going on, there's always something going on. My stance on this is let's take social media, for example, right? So social media was created as a social media, right? So to be social with people, it has turned out to be a fighting ground. That's because that's what people are perceived to see it as. Now, I say social media is good. I actually even put this in my book.
Yeah.
Social media is good for promoting a product, keeping in touch with family and friends, showing people what you've had to dinner. I don't know why, but some people like to show what they've had for dinner. That's cool, right? And bonus is you get to see how fat or bald your ex has gotten, right? Like those are all perfect things for social media. So I think that if you look at it in the laughter way, you see, I just made laughter out of social media, unfortunately, social media. So that's just one example of how I choose to change the framework of what everybody else chooses. And that's what I teach people how to do, right? Is just in your everyday life, how to, because what happens, Wendy, is we are so programmed now with everything. People absorb things. We're very egocentric beings, right? So all we do is look at things and how it affects us, right? So you and I can have an argument, and I'm going to say, she did this to me, she said this to me, this is how she made me feel, right? I'm not really thinking about you, right? That's
Right.
just human nature. So in saying that, people have trained themselves, and this gets into the NLP, the neuro linguistic programming, is that it creates a pathway in your brain that's the path you go down, the negativity path, the drama path, the trauma path, right? So I just try to say, like, let's create a new path.
That's
So
right.
that if you can look at everyday situations with laughter and joy and not freak out, then when those major life things happen, you're down that path, and it will give you the resilience to deal with those
Oh,
major things easier and better.
absolutely. And I have so much to say about
Yeah.
that as well. Because I'm so excited for this conversation. You know, you say in your book, and I believe this to be true as well, that we get what we expect.
Mhm.
And we're seeing evidence of that all over. We're seeing it in negative fashion, where even if you think, oh my gosh, well, I can't leave then, the traffic's going to be terrible. Well, guess what? Like, you get the traffic you expect, and you
Mhm.
get the weather you expect, and you get the experience you expect. And it works, of course, in both ways. And we are not collectively, you and I, we are not promoting that people just put a happy face sticker over every bad thing. However, we don't have to adopt the narrative of doom and gloom either. We are the deliberate creators of our own experience, and we can, with our thoughts, create these new pathways, this new way of seeing the world, of seeing the day, of seeing this minute, of creating the experience we desire, and then practice that, continue to form these new neural pathways, which
Mhm.
create a new belief system. We know that a belief is just a thought you keep thinking. So if
Correct.
you change your thoughts, you create a whole new belief system, have a completely different experience, and then everyone's knocking on your door asking how in the world you did that.
Exactly. And and you hit it on the head when you said, the more you do it, it becomes a habit, right? Like, I mean, it's sort of it's exactly, actually, not sort of, like when you teach your child to brush their teeth. Every single day when they're a toddler, you have to say, okay, time to brush your teeth, time to brush your teeth, time to brush your teeth. There's a time where it comes where you don't have to tell them anymore. They've done it. They've created that habit, right? So it's the same thing with your thoughts. Every day, think, right? Those positivities, whether it's affirmations, whether it's, visualization, whether it's whatever, reading 10 pages of a personal growth book every day. And I assure you that every day you do that, it becomes a habit. And then your
Right.
brain automatically, because you've created that pathway, goes to think of the positive in a situation as opposed to a negative. And if the negative is too overwhelming, such as something like a big life occurrence, which we've all gone through them, right? Whatever it is, you're still able to go down that road and deal with it in a better perspective than you would if you just dramaed every little thing that happened in your life.
Absolutely. And you really hit on the word with perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And it is not denial of things
Right.
that are happening. It's Marianne Williamson talks about this in her reflections on A Course in Miracles. She talks about it being a positive denial. We're not denying that something awful has happened. We are denying the effect of that on our general well-being. That,
Correct.
right? I cannot be sad enough to make sad people happy. I
That's right.
can't be poor enough to make poor people prosperous. I can't be well enough or sick enough to make
Mm-hmm.
sick people well. I can't, that doesn't help me getting in the weeds or getting mad or getting feeling disempowered. None of that is helpful for any of the situations. What I can do is I can model a way of positivity, a way of curiosity, a way of discovery, a way of trust, a way of surrender to my higher source. I call that God. I am living this life, and it is a departure from the way I used to live. And it is a departure from the majority of the people that I used to spend a lot of time with. And I am really happy.
Yeah,
And I'm really happy. I'm happy about those changes.
you
And
have to
the
be.
result of it is actually happy and joy and authentic connection. And again, curiosity and discovery and delight. And I am getting what I expect. And I used to get what I expect also.
That's right.
I've just
You
changed
always
my
will.
expectations.
Exactly. Whether you think positive or whether you think, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Either way, right?
Mhm.
Whatever it is.
It's true.
Absolutely. I tell people all the time too, Wendy, you cannot control what people say or do. You can only control how you react to what people
Mhm.
say or do. And it's the same thing with situations. You cannot control, major things, illnesses, or whatever may happen, right? But you can control how you react to that. And
Right.
the way that you react to major instances, as I stated earlier, was learning how to not dramatize, I call it,
Mhm.
everyday things. Being late for work is a big drama, or you know what I mean, spilling my coffee on my shirt. Oh God, I knew this was gonna happen. You know what I mean? It goes right
Right.
along with what you're saying, because what happens is you wake up late and it's all of a sudden you're, oh my God, I'm gonna be late for work. And now you're down that pathway,
Yeah.
right? Next thing you know, you're spilling your coffee on your shirt, you're tripping down the stairs, right? You're in traffic because that's what you're looking for. You're because right away you woke up
Right.
and you're late. So now you're looking for your day to go bed. You're going to find whatever you're looking for.
Right.
Right. So that now it's like, rather than waking up going late, okay, let's go this. Ha ha ha. I'm going to look like a hot mess. My hair's going to be in a messy bun. Ha ha ha. Let's just go. Right.
Right.
Wake up with that negative mindset. You're going to find negativity throughout the whole thing, the whole
Right.
day.
So how do we, I mean, I know, but how do you, how can we share with other people how to begin this shift? Because I think people often look at your life, look at my life on the beautiful side of social media. And I just came back from a month in France. I'm going back for New Year's Eve because that's just dreamy. And
It's dreamy.
right. And people are like, okay, like what
Yeah.
is this? And it's interesting. Now this is turning into 14 questions. It's interesting because sometimes when we see someone and we know the better it gets, the better it gets, just like we said earlier, the worse it gets, the worse it gets. So you have this expectation of good and this expectation of delight and dreaminess and joy, and it keeps repeating. And then there can be something in the observer that says, "Ooh, I want some of that. Thank you for showing me what's available. I'm
Yeah.
getting on that train too. Let's do this." And then there's something in us that says, "Well, that is just not fair. And why does she
Yeah.
get to do all of that? And why?" And, oh, well, her ex-husband must be financing whatever. Like, it's just, I can't, it hurts my insides of my body
To
to
think about it.
think about
Yeah.
what awful things someone might say and think. But it's just this validation that I get to stay in my mess if I poke holes in your
Absolutely.
goodness.
Absolutely. So that's a self-esteem issue, right? That's just people trying to bring somebody up there down so that they can make themselves. That's what bullies do, right? That's
Mhm.
what people on social media do. Somebody will post a very cute video and somebody will have something to say,
I
right?
know.
So the thing about you mentioned, how they may look at social media, they may say, "Oh, look at Beth, look at Wendy, right? Oh, they're so lucky. Oh gosh, yeah, blah blah blah." But people see the glory, but they don't know the story, right? So when
Mm,
you see successful people, you don't know what they've been through. I may have written a book on laughter, but you don't know until you read my book what I went through to get to that point, right? So everybody has gone through stuff. Nobody has, grown up in a glass case, and just been protected the whole time, right? With just a bubble
right.
around them. So that's what I say to the people, that the naysayers, the negative ones, the ones, that's their stuff, right?
Yep.
I just A friend said to me the other day, "Oh, but he," talking about her ex-husband, "he makes me feel guilty." Right?
Mm.
And I said, "No, he doesn't make you feel
Mm-mm.
guilty. You allow him to make you feel guilty, right? It's my favorite quote, Wendy, is by Eleanor Roosevelt. And she said, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent.
Mm-hmm.
And it's true.
So
She was
good.
giving him consent to make her feel guilty. Now, his actions and his words, that's his crap.
That's right.
And I would tell her, stop internalizing and stop owning his stuff, right?
Right.
So when people may look at others who have gone through a story and now may reach a little bit of glory, you got to just count them out. They're on their own journey. And I would tell those people that are on that journey, that are in that negative space, these are the people that I work with, right? They
Mhm.
are the people that, they're working, maybe they're working hard, maybe they're getting up, going to work 9 to 5, coming home, dealing with the kids, eating dinner, sitting at the couch, going through the scroll hole, going to bed and doing the same darn thing over again. And they're just kind of stuck in that, does it get any better?
Mhm.
And I'm here to tell you, yes, it does. As soon as your mindset gets better, you'll start to view I guarantee you every day they overlook funny things that are going on around them. I guarantee it, because they're so focused on, well, this is going to be my day. I'm going to go to work. I'm going to, roll my eyes at my boss. I'm going to come home. I'm going to have to eat dinner. Kids are going to have me homework, blah, 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 whatever. Right. So that's what I would say to them, is just that I guarantee you have to open your eyes. And you hit on something as well, the environment, the boundaries, the environment. I had a mentor tell me one time, show me the 5 people you run with, and
Mhm.
I will show you who you are or who you are going to be.
Right.
And it's the truth. You hang around with negative dramas, traumas, boo-hoos, you're eventually getting into that, right?
Right.
You
Yeah.
hang out with, even successful people, just positive people, fun people. Don't be the smartest person in the room. Learn,
Right.
right? Intelligent people. You have no choice but to elevate. The
Right.
choice is yours. There's no reason for anyone that has to be in that doom gloom, because it's their choice.
Absolutely. In fact, when you were speaking, it reminded me of, sometimes people will say, I just feel stuck. I'm in this rut and I'm not moving forward. And it's so interesting because we know that there is always momentum, but what we're doing is recreating the same thing that we don't want. We're just doing it every day. And when I just found myself in conversation with someone last night, and I have intentionally curated the community I desire. As you mentioned, the 5 people that you spend the most time with, that's where you're headed. I've
Mhm.
been really intentional in the last few years about that. So when I find myself in a conversation with somebody that is not of this mindset or doing this work or reading the books I'm reading, it's so fascinating.
Mhm.
And this person would just had every reason why a whole bunch of other people are holding her down and keeping her from what she wants. And it was really fascinating to me because I remember thinking that somebody else had agency over my life and my decisions. I was waiting for somebody else to give me permission to live my life, or, someone that knew more than me, was smarter than me, had more money than me, had a better idea than I did, or whatever. And as soon as I realized how much agency I have, how much ownership I have,
Mhm.
how much responsibility I have for my own decisions, to own my experience, and in that practice, allowing everybody else to own their own experiences. So I wasn't an over functioning codependent person.
Right.
That is when the shift occurred for me.
Mhm.
And it's something that feels very minor as it's happening, just these new practices, these new awarenesses, catching ourselves in the words we choose to speak, reframing it in real time.
Yeah.
And I've found myself in the first couple of years of this midway through a sentence and say, oh, actually, hold on. I don't believe that anymore. So let
Yep.
me let me reframe that, because my mindset had outgrown my habits where
Yes.
things
Yes.
were just coming out. So
Yes.
I love everything that you're saying and
Yes.
everything that you're saying in the book. What are you finding the most poignant practice that people can implement right away?
Hmm. So great question. I call myself a mindset mentor because and I don't, and that's just me. Again, my mindset, I want to be a mentor, right? And what that means to me, Wendy, is that I'm going to meet you where you are because your thoughts are different than the next person's thoughts and the next person. So I can't really give like one thing that everybody should do because I don't know where they're at in their mindset journey. But a couple things that do work, if I had to pick one, I would say, because I list quite a few: journaling, meditation, visualization. I would say read 10 pages out of a personal growth book every single night,
Mm,
because you want to be somewhere, you want to follow the person that's already done it, right?
that's right.
Like, do you want to go in the woods and have to, thatch your own trail, or do you want to walk a nice leisurely way on a path, right?
Yes.
You want to follow the path that somebody's been there, they've done it, they've gone through the mistakes, they know what it is. So personal growth books are great, right? So if you just kind of read 10 pages a day just to get used to, oh, what concepts are actually out there, then we can
Right.
advance you to, visualizations or meditations and stuff like that. That's kind of like the first line of defense to call, right? That I,
Right.
that I would put out there just to kind of tip your toes in the, mindset pool a little bit, see what's out.
Yes. I love that. And I love the just your differentiation. That sounded
Mhm.
like a lot more syllables than that word actually
No, it
has.
was correct.
Thank you. That didn't feel right. Between coaching, say, and mentoring, and you say that in the book, how a coach
Mhm.
will have a set of a routine that he's putting all the players through
Right.
and creating kind of muscle memory for them so
Hmm.
that on game day, they all collectively know what to do. But your approach to working with individual clients, of course, is where they are at. And I love the way that you have decided to, I mean, you get to do it however you want, which is
Hmm.
beautiful. And I love the way that you have done that for yourself and for your clients, because it also helps people that are coming to work with you not feel like they are supposed to have achieved some measure before they can even start with you.
That's right. So it's funny you say that because everybody's in a different part of their growth journey, their mindset journey, their personal, right? So I always refer to myself as like the receptionist of mindset.
I love that.
You walk into a doctor's office, the first line of defense is the receptionist. You must check in with the receptionist. You must fill out your paperwork. No matter what you're doing at that office, getting tests done, talking to the doctor, seeing a doctor, getting monitors, you have to stop with the receptionist first. That's me. You have to stop with me first. So whether you want to go into NLP, you want to go into somatic breathing, you have to talk finances, you want a finance coach, you want a business coach, your mindset has to be correct in order to absorb the information
Mm,
that you're going to get.
yeah.
So that's why I liken myself to a receptionist. I am the first person. I am going to get your mind straight so that wherever you want to go from there, you can go, right? Whether you
Mm,
want to get into business, you want to open a new business, your mindset better be right. You want information on your finances? Well, that's not me, but I'll get your mindset right to accept that information, right?
mm,
And you want to get out of your mundane mindset. That's what we're doing, right? So that's the first level of defense. Because if your mind ain't right, your life ain't right. And that's just facts.
oh my gosh. Okay. That's so great. And I haven't spoken with anyone that has explained it that way. I really, really love that. How did you get started in doing this work?
So, funny story, my dad was a motivational speaker. And I wrote the book is really many things that I learned from my father. And I'm a mental health professional as well. So the book has, funny story, things I learned from my dad, academia that I learned from school, and life experiences with coping skills, right? So it's kind of all condensed. But my dad growing up, you hear a lot of people talk about, oh, when I was a child, and there's so many really bad stories that people have had to overcome and have become
Mhm.
these huge thought leaders.
Right.
My childhood was magnificent, right? My father was positive. My mother was great. I just had that childhood. That
Yeah.
was great. Now, mind you, I thought everybody had that, right? And so as I grow older, and I got married to my ex-husband, I just thought, hey, life is great. I'm gonna have a great childhood, I had great teenage years. Now I'm getting married, everything's gonna be great. Well, it wasn't. And then that's when I stopped in my tracks and I was like, whoa, this wasn't supposed to happen,
Mm.
right? And I wasn't groomed for that, right? I was
Mm.
groomed for happiness and hugs and yay, right? My
Right.
dad, motivational, yay, right? Like, let's
Yeah.
do it. And all of a sudden, I'm in a marriage on my own, and I'm like, whoa, you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to treat me that way. You're not supposed to, I'm
Yeah.
not supposed to end up with this stuff on my face. Like, it was just
Mhm.
one of those situations. And so after I left and moved back home, things started to shift for me. That's when I made the decision that although I had this motivational speaker around me 24/7, it was my
Mhm.
dad.
Right.
So the words were just common,
Right.
happenstance. They're just there
Mhm.
at all times. It's like when you go into, a Mexican restaurant and they're playing the music, after a while, you don't hear it.
Right.
Right? You're used to it. You don't hear it. You first walk in, you're like, oh, yay, Mexican music. But then you don't hear it. It was the same thing. I was just so used to it being there. It wasn't until I went through something, came home, and started doing my own research and my own
Mhm.
personal growth and really having to work at learning from other people as well as my dad, that it started to set a little bit different. And that's when I put myself through school as a non-traditional student. I got my psychology degrees. I started working with women that were in abusive marriages. And that's
Mhm.
where it kind of took off from there. Was also when my dad got older and he could no longer drive, my mom had passed away, that the things he started to say started to land a little bit differently now, right? I started to absorb them a little bit better because I knew now what he was talking about. I had children now. I was a different person now. And so now I started to, just like a sponge, started to take in everything he was saying.
Mm. Tell me more about him.
So my dad, oh, thanks for asking. He was an amazing man. He overcame so much. When he was 15 years old, he got osteomyelitis in his right leg. That's an infection
Mm.
of the bone. And back then, he was born in 1928, right? So back then, they didn't have the med. They wanted to chop his leg off. And my
Mm.
grandfather said, no, 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 second opinion. So we got to say he was in a body cast, the whole 9 yards. Talk about going through stuff, right, at 15. And his pivotal moment was when he was in school. So now it's stunted the growth in that one leg. So my father always walked with a limp. So his pivotal moment was when there was a school dance and a girl came up to him and said to him, "Hey Bob, are you going to go to the dance?" And he said, "Oh, why should I go? I mean, I can't dance with my leg this way. I limp." And she turned around to him because, we're from Jersey and this is what we do in Jersey, right?
I love it.
We tell it how it is. And she, even back then, and she turned around and she said, "You know what, Bob, why don't you stop feeling sorry for yourself and start living your life?" And he would tell me this story all the time. And he said, "You know what? It was at that time that I said, boop." And that's what he did. And lucky for him, he was 15, probably 16, 17 at the time. 17. Some people go through their whole life before they realize that,
Right.
right?
Right.
Imagine being 17 years old and all of a sudden being, hit in the face with that. And from that point on, that's what he did. He traveled, he was positive, he was a motivational speaker, he was in sales, and he's the one that took humor and then just ran with it. So that was my dad. He passed away a couple years ago at the age of 93. And
Mm.
um even up until his last days, he was saying, "Gosh, life is so great." You know what I mean? Laying in bed, not being able to move. You know what I mean? And I'm like, "Dad, you're pretty amazing." So yes, I had a great role model. Unfortunately, going through those teenage years, you kind of block that stuff out. But
Totally.
I came full circle. And I just think it's amazing that at age 17, he was able to switch that around. I just had
Right.
this conversation with somebody else and said, if we could impart what we know on 17, 18, 19-year olds,
Mm.
even younger, imagine
Mhm.
how the shift in humanity would be.
Absolutely. There's two things I would love to say about that. One, that I love your dad's experience, that he took that information and ingested it the way that he did and made a shift when he could have just continued to beat that drum of she has no idea, how dare
Right,
she accuse me of not living my, I'm doing the best I can, obviously this is how, and just continue that thought system of how everyone is against him and nobody understands and all
right.
the things, and that it's really just up to us of how we're going to take in this information. And we have the opportunity every single day to take in that same information in a new way and create a narrative that's actually in service to us. And then
Absolutely.
the other thing that I wanted to say about imparting on to this next generation, I am, at the time, it didn't seem like it made sense, but I spent 24 Mother's Days in longing to be a mother before
Mhm.
Amelia joined our family. And um I was confused for many of those years and questioning God's quote unquote perfect timing, which sounds like not perfect until
Mhm.
it happens,
Until
right?
it
And
happens,
right,
right.
exactly. And I'm like, oh, well, yeah, that totally makes sense now. And I love being 56 years old with a 10-year-old
Mhm.
because I know things now and I have an understanding of concepts and what I'm available for and what I'm not available for. And as she interacts with the world and creates these mindsets and this thought system and these narratives, I am treasuring this opportunity because if I would have had her at 25 when I decided I was ready to have a baby, it would just, I mean, I would be having this conversation about my grandchild instead of my actual daughter. So,
Exactly. Ex
yeah.
and I always say that exactly to your point. I say, God knows what he's doing. That's why he has that job. Like,
That's
seriously,
right.
like, he's the best man for the job, I have to say, right? The best person for the job, the best source for the job, the best whatever
Right.
you want to refer to your higher being as.
Right.
It's all divine timing.
Yes, it is. And you saying that, the things that your dad told you that they just became the typical rhetoric in your house. My dad was a pastor and my
Mhm.
parents were very involved in our church and we were very involved in our church as a result of that. And so those foundational truths were just embedded in me. And so even at a later age when I maybe parted ways, not maybe, when I parted ways with church, I did not part ways with God. And
Right.
that when we start to implement our personal experiences, that's when that foundation has been laid and is strong, and it can build this new thing that we're creating on top of it. I remember someone saying to me once when I was probably in my early 20s, and reflecting on my life, my long life of early 20s, and and how great my parents were and how much they loved our church and all the things. And they're like, you're such a strong woman of faith. And I remember responding to them, well, it's because nothing bad has ever happened to me. Like, and
Mhm.
so, and it's so fascinating because I recall that conversation and really in short form after that, some really major things happened to me. And I began this journey of moving from a strong woman of faith to a woman of strong faith
Mhm.
because I required it. I required that leaning on God because everything that I knew in my life was crumbling around me. And there's something so beautiful about an awareness of growth and strength and preparedness without knowing we were going to need it. That almost I mean, not even almost, I'm grateful for all of the nonsense that I would not have chosen, but did, I guess, and allowed,
Mhm.
but because it made me the person that I am now. And
Absolutely.
I could again beat the drum of all these things that have happened to me, but moving to a mindset of certainty and knowledge that all of those things happened for me has changed how I see today and how I see tomorrow.
Totally agree. That's really it in a nutshell. And and in my experience, and this is what I tell people all the time, is your when they're going through something, is your pain is leading you to your gain,
Mm,
right? And that's
mhm.
how it is. You have to go through that pain. Whatever you go through, that pain, it will lead you to your gain. And I tell them, man's rejection is God's protection. I love that one,
Totally.
right? Like that is just, and if you can go through these things, knowing that, Winston Churchill says, when you're going through hell, keep going. Don't sit there and wallow in it and go, boy, it sure is
Right.
hot in here. You know what I mean? Keep going, run, get through it.
Yeah.
Because the other side is not the pain, is not the hell, is not the right. You have to keep going. And that's where people, many of us, and I have, before I learned these skills and learn this mindset, is just sit and go, oh shit, look, like, wow, this sucks, right?
Right.
For me, you know what I mean? And then there they are just wallowing in that. And it's just, you have to at least keep taking a step. I'm not
Right.
saying if you can't run through hell, you have to at least keep moving through the fire.
Right. And acknowledging
Yeah,
this sucks.
this
Th-
isn't fun.
This
And
does
I'm
not
realizing
delight me.
listen, and I say this too, is you have a 100% success rate of getting through every bad day you have ever had. Why
That's
should it
right.
stop now? Right?
That's
Like
right.
in the past, every bad, crappy day you've ever had, you've gotten through every time in your life, every bad day. And, listen, when you're going through divorce, I've been through a divorce. When you're going through divorce, it is
Mhm.
not fun. It
Nope.
is humiliating. It is, you're mad, you're angry. It is not a lot of fun emotions. But when I get to the other side and I look back now at my life now and my life then, thank goodness I kept going. Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because your pain will get you through your gain,
Yes.
go get you to your gain. It's just like if you want to gain happiness, and you're going through pain right now, that pain will get you there to your happiness.
Right. And it's a marker. It helps
Mhm.
you see,
Exactly.
I do not enjoy this. I would like less of this and more of
More
this.
of
This,
this.
right,
That
this
these things,
contrast.
these instances, these situations that you go through, right? Because you don't want to put the word problem, right? Because that's
Right.
a bad negative word. So you want to put situation. These situations are like bumpers on a bowling alley,
Mhm.
right? And they're
Yep.
bouncing you back into the alley so you keep going. And then you go veer off a little bit and a situation happens and it puts you back in the alley. And this is what life does. It just
Right.
gets you, bounces you back and forth to keep you on the path that you're supposed to go to.
Absolutely. We're just in the dressing room and these pants don't fit. Does it mean
Exactly.
that there will never be another pair of pants that are ever going to look good? No, we just need a different pair of pants. It's totally fine.
Exactly.
They will make more.
Exactly. Great point. Great point.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, if I made the queen of laughter laugh, I feel very good
You
about
did.
that.
You absolutely did. That was a good one. You'll see me
I'm so glad.
recycle that one soon.
I hope so. I'll feel so happy about that. Oh my goodness. Okay, I've loved this conversation. I love everything about the book. Is there anything that you want to share specifically about the book, specifically about what you're working on next. What do you want people to take away as they read it? Tell me all the things.
It's an easy read book, right?
It
I
is.
think I wrote it like I talk,
You
fast,
did.
to the point, with a little bit of sarcasm in it,
It's
right?
hilarious.
And thank you. And the thing about the book is it's if I had to say take one thing away from it, because it does focus on negative self-talk and how social media affects it, it would be the last chapter, which is embrace your season. And that's actually, I'm glad that we're ending with this, because that's how you opened,
Yeah.
right? And that is how I would want somebody. And embrace your season, in that chapter, what it says is, hey, this is where you are right now. Embrace it. Whether you're going through a divorce, or whether you're in a new relationship, or whether you're whatever you're going through, embrace that season. I'm so tired of people looking at past seasons. I always say, I wish I was as fat as I was when I thought I was fat back when I was
No
25, right?
kidding.
Like, back then I thought I was fat, and I look at these pictures and I go, holy crap, I was thin, right?
Yeah.
Like, embrace where you are. If you're in your 50s, embrace it. You're in your 60s, embrace that. You have grandchildren, embrace that. You're on a new journey, embrace that. And as soon as you learn to embrace what season you're in, you will go through that season with joy, with laughter, with happiness, and everything in your world will be right.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. It's beautiful. Thank you so much. And thank you again. I know I said this before we hit record, but I really appreciate your generosity. As you begin the book, you completely out yourself. And I think it's so beautiful and it's welcoming. It's not overwhelming. I've met some people from Jersey, and I have found that it's an interesting lead in. I remember the woman that's coming to mind, our daughters were in the same preschool class. And on the very first day of preschool, like this day I had dreamed about for 2 decades,
Right.
and we walk in there and she said, she introduces herself and said, these are the twins. And, it was our 3rd round of IVF. And, I don't even know what I'm doing and whatever. I haven't slept in 3 days, but what the F? And I was like, oh, that's how we're doing it. Okay. Hi, I'm Wendy Harrop. I was like, oh gosh, this is
Yeah, we tend to
intense.
overshare a little bit. We don't care, right? I mean, our governor even says, we're from Jersey and you're not. Like, this is our governor says that. Okay. I cheer for the Philadelphia Eagles because I'm from South Jersey, and we say nobody likes us and we don't care. Okay. Like, it's just who we are.
Which is so brilliant that you're a mindset mentor,
Yes.
because that is actually the mindset that is going to get us on the trajectory of where we desire to go. What other
Absolutely.
people think of me is none of my business.
None of my business. And like I said before, their actions and their words, that's a them problem. That's not a you problem.
100%.
And as soon as you learn that and realize that, and I liken it in the book real fast. I do liken it in the book, like we all have our own shows. We all have our own movies. Our lives are our own shows, right? And we are the stars. Everybody else is a walk-on. We have some co-stars that probably will stay through our show the whole time, right? But everybody else is a walk-on. Like, I'm the star of my show. You're the star of your show. So why are we gonna, allow these walk-ons to take over our show? They're not.
Right. And we can embrace the co-creation of those supporting roles in our lives.
Exactly.
But you're right. We have agency.
Exactly.
And we're good at it. We know
And
what
we
we want,
are.
and we're allowed to have what we want.
Isn't that the truth? Like,
Yes.
and you deserve to have what you want. You just have to believe it.
100%. Absolutely. And I think so much of that, again, I know we could talk all day.
I know.
A part of that is holding space for yourself and
Absolutely.
allowing yourself to dream. In fact, this is a big piece of butcher paper. My daughter Amelia and I are having sushi and dream session tonight.
I love that.
So we are mind mapping a beautiful opportunity that's coming our way, and we are drawing and writing all the thoughts and dreams in our heart for this thing. And That way, when it becomes ours, we know exactly what we want to do with it.
I love it. I love it.
It's
That's
so
right.
fun.
Be the architect of building your house. That's it.
That's right.
I
That's
love
right.
that, Wendy.
Oh my goodness. Okay. I have loved this conversation. Please
So did
tell
I.
everyone where they can find and follow you.
Okay, so you can find me on Instagram and LinkedIn. Instagram, I'm under Funny Sister. If you need mindset mentoring, you can actually message me right there. I'm in the middle of revamping my website right now, but I will put my new website on my Instagram, and my LinkedIn is being revamped as well. So you can also reach me at Dodd 1102 at Gmail, and that's where I get a lot of my information until my website is being revamped. Should you want to read Laughter is an Instant Vacation, it's found on Amazon. The cover is a vacation scene, because I think there's another book on there with the same title, and you will find that on Amazon.
Perfect. And we will link everything down below in the show notes.
I
Thank
love
you
that.
so much. I
Wendy, it was a
can't wait
pleasure.
to chat with you again. I'm
I would love it.
certain this is not our last
I'm
connection
so
point.
grateful.
Thank you so much.
All right, thanks. Take care.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. As always, any links or notes mentioned can be found at phineaswrighthouse.com in the podcast section of our site, or in the show notes below. And if you haven't connected with me personally, come find me on Instagram at Phineas Wrighthouse and let me know you listened to this episode. I'd love to get to know you. Thank you for sharing this time with me. I know your days are full, and I'm really grateful that you chose to spend some of your precious time right here. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any of these delightful conversations. I'll see you next week.